Alton Road. I do have a question. The dog trust account, which I brought up in the past, the way it works is if we pay East Brunswick from that account for animal control services. If there's a dog that is loose and East Brunswick has to come and claim that dog and take it to Woodbridge, before you can reclaim your animal, you have to come here to Spotswood and pay the $175 redemption fee. When we pay East Brunswick that $175, it comes out of the animal trust account. But when I pay you for my dog being loose, it goes back into the general fund, which it shouldn't be going. It should be going.
So the residents' money goes into the general fund?
Correct.
And then we pay out of, okay.
Right, and we pay out of the animal trust account. So that money should be going back into the animal trust account because it's basically a wash. It's basically, you're paying East Brunswick the $175 and I'm paying you the redemption fee of the $175. So if we're taking it out of the trust account, it should be going back into the trust account. So that's where my concern is. And this has been going on for quite a few years now based on the information on the animal trust account. Because there's no money going into it. It's just the licensing fees and such as that. None of the redemption fees are showing up on any of the financials. The other thing...
Do you happen to know how many animals...
I can find out.
Or I can find out too. I just didn't know if you had that in front of you.
It's not a lot. I mean, we don't redeem a lot of animals.
Right.
I mean, and my other concern is, now that you brought that up, because you just triggered another thought in my head. For instance, when, let's say, over in Clearwater Village, I'm going to use them because they did have a feral cat issue over there at one point.
You had explained this to me.
Right. So if we're picking up an animal, if East Brunswick is, if somebody calls and says, hey, I've got a cat and a litter of kittens underneath my house, East Brunswick comes over and picks them up. So they're making one trip. They're making one trip from East Brunswick to here to pick up that cat and those kittens. They're charging us, if you have 8 kittens, they're charging us $175 per kitten and $175 for the mother. Yes, Larry, exactly. Wow. So again, and I'm going to bring this up, and it's gonna sound horrible, but Dawn McDonald's husband works in East Brunswick. Dawn McDonald lives in East Brunswick. Dawn McDonald is also concerned about her taxes in East Brunswick. Dawn McDonald negotiated the contract for animal control with East Brunswick. Are we seeing the conflict of interest here? Because I am. So, again, you know I harp on this animal trust account because it's my thing, and everybody knows it's my thing with the animals, but this is really a problem from a taxpayer's perspective. Exactly, Larry, did you do the calculation on that?
Yes, I did.
Yes. Isn't that nice? So a litter of how many? 9 cats is how much, Larry?
It's $1,575.
And do you think that that's the only litter of kittens we've ever picked up?
Wow.
And those we don't get reimbursed for because they're not anybody's animals. Okay?
Kittens. Humane Society takes kittens for free, and they give them
No,
out.
that you have to, everybody charges for it. If I walked into the Humane Society, first of all, you can't do that. Let me, just real quick. So you're contracted with Woodbridge. The only place that animals from Spotswood can go is Woodbridge, unless you can find a rescue, which is a 501c3 to take those animals. Because you're contracted, that's under state law in Title IV. You have to have an animal control contract, which is East Brunswick, who comes and picks up the animal, and you have to have a sheltering facility, which in our particular case is Woodbridge, which by the way, please never get rid of Woodbridge because they're one of the best animal shelters around, and I don't have to worry and lose sleep at night about where the animals are, so please keep them. And they're real good with working with, especially like our elderly. A lot of the times, Heather, who runs that, the fees will be waived, because they come in or the animal's only been there for an hour or 2 hours and they're not really doing anything. So, she's not going, well, you're never getting your animal back, so please keep them. But like Larry just did the calculations, I mean, 1 litter of kittens, and cats do have 6, 8, kittens at a time, $1,500 to pick up 9 cats. That's insane. What if you had an overpopulation of that and you had 30 or 40 cats? Do the math. I mean, you're talking about a significant amount of money. I just don't think that our BA who lives in East Brunswick should be negotiating a contract for animal control with East Brunswick. I will say that the animal control contract is less than when we had Helmetta, but that's a whole other story and we'll just stay away from that. So, with that being said, I do have one other point I want to make with respect to the Oprah paperwork. So you had commented earlier about how maybe the stuff gets sent to the attorney because Steve and I know what we're doing with Oprah and things need to be checked out. And that would be great and perfect in a utopia. But in my particular case, I wanted to test that theory out a while ago. So I had sent in an Oprah request underneath my name, asking for documents, and I had 2 friends of mine send in the same exact OPA request. Within 7 days, they got their paperwork. My paperwork came 3 weeks later after it went to the attorney. So,
That's it.
and the reason why they're doing that is because Dawn McDonald doesn't like Steve or I, which is fine. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. But when something like that is occurring, it's discriminatory against myself. Plus, it's costing everybody behind me money, and it makes everybody sitting up here look foolish. You know what I mean? So I've tested the theory. It's not just, it's not, well, it's the Roncos. And I have the email log, and I went through it. I sat there and went through 117 pages until 4 o'clock in the morning when I got it. And OPA request Ronco to the attorney, OPA request Ronco to the attorney, letter back to Ronco for extension letter to the attorney. I mean, there's got to be $4,000 or $5,000 worth of attorney's fees just in letters back and forth over a simple OPA request that was asking for dog trust account information. Crazy. Thank you.
Can I ask you-
Oh, sure.
How long did you say the 2 people took them to get their?
They got theirs within the 7-day time frame,
And you took how long?
3 weeks.
Do you, well, I know they don't have to tell me this, but do you, by any chance, did they do that under their own names?
Yeah.
Okay, can I have one?
I
It doesn't matter,
I'll
I'll
send
have
you the
somebody
emails.
look up into it
Yeah.
and see if they match them.
Right.
Because that is a problem.
Yeah,
Right,
absolutely.
Conley, no resident should be treated
That's
any
a big
differently.
problem.
It's okay.
To get them quicker or to delay, and
Right.
everybody should be.
And I agree, and I mean, I'm just bringing it up because, to see that kind of, I don't care for my name, you can send anything you want to the attorney, I don't care, again, I don't lose sleep over it, I don't take it personally, but I just think that when somebody's doing it and it's gotten to the point of where it's becoming vindictive, now you're costing the people money for something that should be a very simple request. And a very simple, and my requests are not, I'm not asking for thousands of pages of documents or financials or anything like that. I'm usually looking like I was looking for the redemption fees with respect to this, and that all came out of that incident that we had with the Malamute that I picked up on Manalapan Road. So that's how all of that came through, because I wanted to see where the redemption fees were going. And it turns out that they're going into the general fund. So, it's not like I'm actively going, let me see what I can find this week. It's just that as things are coming up, I'm over requesting other things to find out general questions that I have in my own head.
Right.
Exactly. So when I see an email log with my name on it 40, 50, 60, 80 times, and all these things going back and forth between the attorneys, I think that's redundant, I think it's ridiculous, and I think it's a waste of taxpayer money to take, I asked literally for 5 years worth of animal trust accounts. Not every month, I just wanted like an overall summary, and it went to the attorney. And it's a simple request. It's a trust account. You know what I mean? I wasn't asking for personnel records or something where you had to go, well, can we? This is an animal trust, it's a trust account. I should be able to walk in and look at that tomorrow if I wanted to. Nothing had to be redacted. It was 5 years worth of paperwork. I wanted the end of year statement for each one, so it's literally, it was 3-4 pages. It was really not a lot of paperwork, and I had somebody else request it, and I had somebody else request a tort claim, and they got the tort claim unredacted, and again, my tort claim looked like something out of the UFO files. There wasn't anything on it except the chief's signature. So, I just wanted to make that a point. Thank you.
Before you go,
Oh,
just a
sure.
quick question for you.
Sure, Ted.
It got nothing to do with what you just brought up, but
Okay.
it's about Oprah. Before either you or Steve had brought up about the fee schedule, and there is no fee schedule. Do you have anything from any other towns that have the fee schedules in place?
I don't know off the top of my head. I can look and certainly see. I know usually everything's done on a case-by-case basis, but I think there's usually a cutoff with what the GRC and what the courts have kind of established. So I think the one other, I'll have to look. I think I might have one that actually has the
Fee
fees.
schedule in place. Get us a copy.
Sure. I'll go through my paperwork and see
Ordinances
what I
can always
have.
be amended.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
One more question.
Sure.
Approximate date, the trust account thing you,
I don't know. I'd have to look, Mayor. I don't, off the top of my head, maybe it was June. I'm not sure. I can certainly shoot you an email and look it up and
please,
say.
if you would.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jackie Palmer, Shupin Street. I don't know, but I'm a little disturbed by some of this. And I'm gonna get on my soapbox for just 1 second here and say for 6.5 years, I have stood at this podium and I have begged the council, I have begged the administration to look at the amount of money that we were wasting on someone who was incompetent and unqualified for a job. And I hope that whatever comes out, and I can tell you and Charlie, we had a conversation, I hope that whatever comes back from this investigation, which likely, you know, let's be clear, you're not going to be able to tell us anything that's in that report. So let's lay that out right now. That's not, you're going to be able to say, yes, that report has been completed. Yes, we are taking action on it, and you're going to go into closed session. So I know that. You guys know that, and we should really be honest about that because you're not going to be able to tell us anything. So Diane, I'm sorry. We're never going to hear the resolution to this until either somebody goes to jail, we sue them, they're fired, whatever the case may be, we're not going to know until that happens. I have been asking for this, and this disturbs me. What I would highly suggest is that Oprah request that just came through to the Roncos for the email log from Dawn McDonald, likely each and every one of you should ask Alyssa for a copy of that. And you should take a look at what was in there. Because, and the 6 things that were redacted, you might go, why wasn't that redacted? So you're paying for something, whatever your attorneys that you're paying to redact things, whatever Dawn was doing on her email, I highly suggest y'all take a look at the 117 pages, because I did. And I got blind as Colleen did, because there were things that I thought to myself, oh boy, we need to pull those. So before we start asking for those emails, you might want to look at it yourself. And I hope that we've all learned our lesson on the amount of money that we have wasted for 6.5 years on someone who has literally cost us and is going to continue to cost us, even likely when the administration changes, will likely cost us more money because I don't see any of this going away and I see more coming.
Ray Roos from Millville Boulevard. I just got a question with the construction going on, is being done by public service. Okay. Now, who are we paying for the police to block the roads for them, or is it they paying us?
They pay.
Construction company pays the police officer.
That's why I wasn't sure enough. I know they have flagmen, I didn't know if we were paying.
No, the company, the construction
Oh,
company.
so they're paying us. Okay, all right, that's what I just want to know. Okay, thanks.
Anyone else from the public?
Charlie, I think a good observation was made. I think you should take, just so there's no confusion as to those two ordinances,
Yes.
you should take another vote on it.
So I
So
was
put
gonna
on the
vote.
record that there have been public hearings on both. I just asked for a roll call vote.
Yeah, so I'll close public and then we, oh, sorry, Tom.
Tom Grabowski, Brunswick Avenue. Mr. Mayor, I want to ask you a question. When we discussed this one other time here, you were in a meeting when the old Asbury building, BVM, and I see he's remodeling it now. And I remember you said right here that when you were in the meeting, they said with their dumpsters, the dumpsters were going to be empty on the property. Well, if you've been by there, and I know a lot of people haven't seen the stuff there because there was another council member that for years lived over there, and we had a former mayor lived right over there, never saw the same things I was seeing. I must have like a special eye or something, I don't know. But I've been going by in the last 2 weekends, there's been 3 or 4 dumpsters loaded to the hilt with garbage, and it's not the stuff at his building that he's redoing now. So I brought it up once before about, is this going to become a garbage transfer station for the town of Spotswood? And when the leachings come out of the dump materials in it, and we all know that it's going to be just construction equipment like the guy claims, which is a joke, it's going to be in the waterway, which is a creek, not, what, 200 feet from the property line, and running down into the lower lakes?
I'm gonna check into it. I also want to know why the fence isn't up there too. There's supposed to be a 6-foot fence around the property as well.
Well, I see
Can you
your,
tell us where the property is? I'm sorry, I don't know.
The old Asbury coal plant
Across from Spencer Farms.
No allowed to. On Scoville?
Yeah.
Oh, you live on Brunswick?
I live on
Oh, So, okay.
And then we're gonna go over, I wanna go over something else again, which I've always, for how many years I've been saying this. I see on this sheet of what we're paying out, RKD tree service, and I think I brought this up one other time. Well, in the last few weeks, I've been watching E&R tree service. Today, I actually followed 2 of their trucks from Crescent down Brunswick Avenue, and they were going into illustrious East Brunswick. They weren't doing any work on Brunswick Ave. They weren't doing any work in Spotswood. And I had this conversation with a policeman down in Manhattan Bagel one morning, and he's actually one of the officers that writes tickets, and he says, believe me, we're writing tickets on these trucks, but I explained to him some of the scenarios that these guys do, like on New Brunswick Avenue, or Old Stage Road rather. I explained to him, when you see the beginning of the week or the end of the week, a car carrier carrying 2 or 3 cars, they're going to Marisat. That's the auction that's on Journey Mill Road. When you see them in the beginning of the week, they're picking them up. The cars were auctioned and bought. Now I noticed since I told him this, and the police tell me they're going to change their schedule so that they're like different hours, because he said a lot of these guys know the times that the police get on and off duty. And that's a good idea, because that's exactly what they do. But Old Stage Road is still running a truck service, and it's not the trucks that we know are doing the work back on the developments, streets that they're redoing right now for PSE&G. They're, like I said, I sit down there, I take my grandson home every night on Manalapan Boulevard. I come down Palmetto Boulevard, I come up Old Stage Road, and I'm behind them, I'm following them, no matter what way I'm going. The police officer also brought the question to me, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, chasing these guys, because, you know, you could be cited for harassment. I'm not stopping the man. I'm pulling out of my house and I see a truck go by and I follow it. And there's 2 or 3 other cars in front of me or them. I'm changing my direction. I'm not going to the store like I was gonna go, because for the good of this town, and which I've been talking about, the streets that are ripped up with these stinking trucks, I follow them. And I know, today I watched 2 of them. And I got into this with, I was told by a neighbor, I'm not gonna mention his name, one of these guys that lives out on Spotswood Englishtown Road told me the owner of that company is either a former or he is an Old Bridge police officer. Now, E&R's guys go by because they've heard me yell at them and point to the sign. In the last few weeks, I got them screaming out the window at me because I'm a jerk off, because I'm bringing this up to you people. And I'm tired of it.
Tom, the last time you had come up, I had spoken to the chief. Did he get out there to speak to you?
I never talked to the chief since any of this. The last time I talked to the chief, he came down, Brian's lawnmower, asked me to come down here. I came down one night, that was a year and a half ago.
All right, so
But I have talked to other police officers, and the one police officer is the guy supposedly that is on this patrol.
I'm gonna speak to the chief for a couple other things tomorrow. I'm gonna ask him to stop by and see you, and you can explain it to him again.
Yeah, or I'll come down here again like I did the last
He
time.
said that he spoke to you in length about it in the past.
Right.
So we'll bring it back up to him again.
Right. Okay, and then, one of the points that the other people were saying and asking the question about this deal with the water, redoing our water. I know Kevin Mead in the meeting was here a while back, and like he told the council back when they were shutting the plant down over there, we don't want to get rid of our water rights. It's stupidity. We're going to, like you said, we were tied into East Brunswick, and now we know what the connection is with East Brunswick from people that we're dealing with right now in here. So why would we tie ourselves in with that? I understand what the young lady was asking Ed about what happened with the plant, and I remember that when it was all going on, that it was, at that time, it wasn't cost efficient to keep the place going and do it. But my point to all this is, if you own a lawnmower, if you own a car, if you own a truck, if you own a house, if you let things go, and previous people come in and say, oh, well, we didn't raise the taxes, we didn't do this, we didn't spend any money on this. You're not saving me any money, because in 10 years, when the whole system that you should have done some maintenance on is failing, which I've witnessed in my own lifetime on Brunswick Avenue, when I was told by the head of the water department, who was American Water, was doing our stuff at the time, and he assured me that the reason my water here was filled with 5 or 6 inches of sand every so many weeks was the fact that my temperature in my water heater was turned up. Well, if you look, after they fixed the shut-off box, or whatever the problem was on the very beginning of Brunswick Avenue, that was 20-something feet down into the ground, they had to get like a super-duper excavator to get down there. I haven't touched the temperature on my water heater. I flush my water heater like I always do a few times a year. That's maintenance. That's what everybody should be doing. And lo and behold, there's no more sand in my water heater. But his answer to me was that my water was too hot, and that was calcification being formed in the water. You know, he's gonna piss in my ear and tell me it's raining. I know the difference, believe me. So the people that are in our water department now, are they all, who are they hired by? Are they all competent? Are they just doing their job of checking numbers, figures, or are they actually looking at stuff in that plant that they're supposed to be looking at and reporting back to the people here and letting everybody know? There might be another council member who never knew anything about this stuff. All this stuff has changed in years, but if people don't have, if there's not a criteria to watch and go down, you're never gonna do it. Just like when you do maintenance on a car or a truck or anything. You have to keep a record because you're gonna think that you remember what you did, and you're not gonna. It's amazing to myself, when I worked for MRS for over 20 years, and I would swear that truck that we just brought in from one of our other plants was, we just did the brakes in that truck. Then we go back in the records and I check, no, because they look the same. And there's always something, when you go into the records, you can prove it. So I hope we're doing that, because I also brought it up when they were doing the relining of all our water mains. Excuse me, in the past, they told me, one of the directors or water treatment people, well, when he left, he had all the plans with him. So my point was, that we're paying, I don't care who it is, we're paying somebody to drag a camera through our lines, to reline our lines or whatever. Any work that's being done like that, in fact, is there something in place that every job that is done is mapped out and known so that we don't have to pay for this again and we know exactly where this stuff is?
I have that map.
You do?
I do.
Okay, so now we have something. Very good. All right.
And the individual that's working down at the water plant does keep a record of everything that goes on with that plant. And every little problem that it has, he logs it in. And also, he also notifies the state if there's a problem. And he's very efficient at his job.
Two of them have all
And the other two that I work with them are very good at their job.
Yeah, because it seems like I noticed in the last years, we haven't had any really, at least on my end of town, but I mean.
They're always there, they always check that unit. I go down there, I talk to them, they gave me a tour around the whole unit, and again, they do their job.
Tom, if I may chime in, they called us on Thursday or Friday of last week, the problem with a couple of valves, and we're asking questions, and I have to talk to the mayor and the CFO about it, but they call for guidance when they run into something on the plant. Was it just last week they did, and we had emails over the weekend about it, so I think that they are proactive, at least when, the little contact we have, they are concerned.
Okay. And then, I don't know like if the public just knows this, but when they were saying about, oh, how come there's all these water main breaks, this, that, and everything. Just like Mr. Koch said, one of the biggest factors that can even trigger off, let's say you fix one water main, you have the water shut off. When you turn the water back on, they have to open those valves slowly. And it might take, the right way is to do it real slow, because you have a line that was filled with water and pressure, and the surrounding ground, dirt, whatever's on it is holding it. When that pressure comes out of that line and that thing can drop, that's when you get a shift or something. That's why when they do one and turn it back on, well, now they sprung another leak over here. So it's one of the things, operator of the people that are actually doing the work in our town, the hole actually that they're digging, and the way they go about their operation has a lot to do with it. And then concerning another repair, a family member had a incident back in one of the big rainstorms down on Manalapan Road. I think it's is it by Brunning? There was a manhole that sunk or something. We repaired it like 2 or 3 times. It sunk again. They put a cone out. Then we had that flash rain one day. 2 or 3 people hit that hole and blew their tires and damaged their car.